So what we're going to do now is 3 under 3 deep, then we'll get into 4 under 2 deep. Okay, and I just refer to this stuff as fire zone. Some people call them zone dog, zone blitz, whatever. I know an old term for zone blitz meant that you had to drop out a defensive lineman and you basically were still in a 4-man pass rush. That's not really the case anymore. Mostly when people talk about zone blitz, it's a 5-man pressure of some sort, playing 3 under 3 deep, 4 under 2 deep. Okay. All right, now I'm going to talk to you really about. There's 3 different ways that you can play the underneath coverage. Okay. There's a man way, there's a pure zone way, and then there's kind of the in between. Okay. And we've played the man way. We've played the in-between way. This year we're actually going to the pure spot drop way, which I've given you those Manny Diaz tapes. Okay, we'll go into more depth about that as we get going. In my opinion, it's going to be the easiest way to do things. It's going to allow you to really tee off the way you want to, and based off of the blitz package and the blitz pattern that you have, you can decide that we will only 3 under 3 deep from the middle of field against the run. And then when the ball's on the hash, you can say, well, maybe we like the overload pressure aspect, so we like the pressure, so we'll 3 under 3 deep from the hash on pass downs or run downs. But maybe, if the pass down middle of field, maybe you just want to play 4 under 2 deep, and that's it, because it's a better pass coverage. And that's really the direction college teams are going. 3 under 3 deep is more of a run thing. 4 under 2 deep is more of a pass thing. Okay, and so we'll talk about that. All right, now the first thing I want to share with you is the divider system for corners. Okay, and this is in any one high defense. So this initial alignment will not change. Okay, whether you're in cover 3, man free, 3 under 3 deep, anytime there's a 1 high defender. Okay. The corners play what's called 5-1 bottom. And I'm not going to lie to you, it takes some practice and some remembering on the kids' part. And it takes you getting on them about it early on in the off-season or spring practice whenever you guys start this stuff. You guys know how you go out there and you say, hey, if he takes a wide split, you're going to play inside. If he takes a tight split, you're going to play outside. Right? And then your kids are out there and you're always having to yell at them, step inside, because nobody ever knows what a wide split is or a tight split is, right? 5-1 bottom teaches them this. Okay, this I originally got from Nick Saban. Okay, but in college it's a little different because their hash marks are different. Okay, but this is all based off of the high school hash marks. All right. So here's how this works. I don't even need these guys here, so I'm going to erase this. Alright, so we've got our numbers. Balls in the middle field. Okay? They come out, balls in the middle field. Because it's the middle number, both corners know they are playing the 1 rule. Okay? They are playing the 1 rule. Here's what this means, and again, and this will make some sense to you here. If you'd rather just take notes off your tape, that may be the way to do it, you know what I mean? So, because it does take a little bit of teaching, and we would teach this to our kids in the classroom before we took them on the field. Then we would take our corners pre-practice and line them up on the damn field and move the ball, hash, middle, hash, and get them to line up, okay? And you can actually... Okay, so you can do this without receivers day 1, but you're going to have to eventually add receivers. So we've got 3 categories here. There's 5-1 bottom. If the ball's in the middle of the field, both corners, okay, your divider is 1. And it's always in relation to the inside part of the numbers, okay? So you have an imaginary divider, 1 yard inside the numbers if the ball's in the middle of the field, okay? So when you break the huddle, you could, in theory, come out here and stand on that divider, 1 yard inside the numbers. Okay? When that receiver breaks the huddle, where is he aligned in relation to my divider? Okay? If he is outside your divider at all, let's say ball was in the middle of the field. That receiver broke the huddle. He's standing right on top of right in the middle of the numbers. Okay? He is outside your divider. You know right now, any one high defense, you are inside leverage. If it's man free, you're inside man to man. Okay? If it's cover 3, you're lined up inside leverage. Okay? If it's fire zone, you're inside leverage. Why? By him lining up outside your divider, you have just said that he has moved himself closer to the sideline. He has moved himself closer to a non-moving bracket that is help. Okay? He has removed himself from the free safety. Okay? By doing that. He is just oversplit because he's outside your divider. Okay? But on the other side, here he comes. He lines up. He is inside that divider rule. What's the divider rule? 1 yard inside the numbers, period. Break the huddle. Damn it, stand there, man. Here I am. Ball's in there. He broke the huddle. There he is. He's go there. Okay, well, I'm not an idiot. Play this shoulder. And how tough is it? So what am I playing? I'm playing outside leverage. Why? You are now telling yourself that I've got faster help from the free safety than I do from the sideline. Okay? Period. All right, so ball's in the middle of the field. We've got a 1 rule. Okay, we've got a 1 rule. You can just go out there and stand on your divider. That doesn't mean you play on your divider. That means you line up on that receiver according to the divider. So we break. Do you guys huddle?
No.
Perfect. Fuck it. You don't even huddle. Okay, bam. Guy gets a, cover 3. Beautiful. Ball's in the middle field. Go stand. 1 yard inside the numbers with your hands on your hips. When that number 1 lines up, is he outside you? Good. Move to his inside shoulder. Is he inside you? Beautiful. Play his outside shoulder.
We put our wide side corner on the wide side and the short side corner on the short side so they can just find out which sides they can just go line up.
Perfect. It's going to make it even easier when you get to that.
Yeah.
Okay? But if the ball's in the middle, they got to know. Okay? Yeah, it makes it even easier. Okay? So, does your wide side corner go left if the ball's in the middle?
Depends on the quarterback's throwing arm.
Yeah, okay. All right, so here I am. John, you're up. The left corner. Okay? Ball's in the middle of the field. 1 high defense. What's your divider rule?
1 yard inside the numbers.
Beautiful. Okay. Receiver comes out. He breaks the huddle. He's lined up just inside the divider. Are you inside or outside leverage?
Outside leverage.
Outside. And that's where it comes back to, what did we tell you? You put your outside foot up. You put your inside foot back. And that outside toe is always pointed as inside shoulder. Since I'm outside leverage, I'm naturally going to be a little bit more turned. That's good, because now when I slide back, where am I moving toward? The outside. I wouldn't want you necessarily just to go straight back to begin with. Okay? Now you can. I mean, it's not going to kill you, but we prefer it that way. Okay? So, Clay, I'm the corner on the right. Okay? Your divider is 1 yard inside the numbers. Okay? That receiver comes up. Lines up all the way out there on the bottom of the numbers. Are you inside or outside leverage?
Inside.
I'm inside leverage. Okay? So now you don't have to get into, because I remember even when I was playing, okay, if you oversplit, step inside, but nobody ever knew what that was. Like, okay, all right, what is that? Well, now you have a rule. Okay? So, ball's on the hash. And again, this doesn't matter how you play your corners. We'll talk about the different ways to do that. Okay, this is an alignment rule with a 1 high defense, man free. Okay, so we could be a man free, and you could have corners playing outside leverage on their guys, even though you're in man to man, because they got free safety help. Okay, but if he oversplits, you're inside leverage, even though you got free safety help. He's creating a void in there that you've got to take away. Okay, now when the ball is on a hash. Okay, when the ball's on a hash. Now, to the field, so this is easy. Your kids only have to learn 2 rules now. Okay? The field corner plays 5. Okay? 5 yards, what? Inside the numbers. Now, your guy may be an idiot, and you can't figure out what 5 yards is. That's okay. Alright? Basically, it is right between the hash and the numbers. It's damn near right between the hash and the numbers. So they can figure that out. Okay? So he comes out, there's my divider. Why? There's so much field out here, okay? In a 1 high defense, you've got to force him to try and throw the ball out there. And in high school, it's even harder because the hashes are even wider. It's further to go, okay? So it's halfway between the numbers and the hash mark. Okay? But into the boundary, our divider is the bottom of the numbers. Okay? And we got to explain to our kids what the top and the bottom means. I mean, you really do, because you can keep saying, oh, receiver, you lined up top of the number. I mean, they don't know what that is. Okay? They don't know what that is. And that's okay. It's not their fault until we tell them. Okay? So into the boundary, it's the bottom of the numbers. Okay, so, John, you're the field corner, right? You come out, that receiver, number 1, lines up on the hash. Are you inside or outside leverage?
Inside leverage.
Okay, there's your divider. He's right there.
Outside leverage.
That's right. I'm outside leverage. Okay, because in our opinion, he is now undersplit. He's cut it down. Right? He's cut it split down. Okay. But Clay, you come out, lines up right there. Are you outside or inside leverage? I'm going to be inside leverage. Okay, you're saying he is oversplit according to my divider rule. Okay, so that's how it works. All right, and same thing down here. Make sense? So any one high defense, that's got to happen. Now, again, I'm going to tell you, it's going to take some meeting time to explain this to them. Okay, then you're going to want to go out in the field and show your corners this, quickly before practice. And then what I would suggest is that your corners, anytime you're in a one high defense early on, have to holler out their divider rule. Those balls in the middle field, corners just be yelling 1, 1, 1. Have them stand there. Give him the signal. Just yells 1, 1, 1. Or if he's the field corner, balls on the hash, he's just showing 5, 5, 5. Bottom, bottom, bottom. Whatever. Just so they're thinking it. If not, it's like anything else. You stop training it, they're not going to do it. Because it's something that's a little bit advanced in terms of having to make them think.
Where the ball's in between the hash.
Yeah, then just adjust.
When do you use the 5? When do you use the 1 rule?
It's on the hash.
Only if it's on the hash. What if it's just
and then they can. Once it gets within a couple yards after that, it's.
Well, when we were together, we designated hash if the tackle was on the hash, right?
Yeah, offensive lineman.
Yeah, if the offensive tackle was touching the hash.
If the offensive tackle touched.
And then if it wasn't that, it was the middle of the
field. It was hash, which is a couple yards. If not, it's middle of the field. Okay, so that's the divider rule. Okay, so let's start with that. All right, now let's talk about the different ways that you can play underneath coverage. I'm going to show you the first way that I learned it. I've played it this way 2 different seasons, 2 different ways. Okay, and again, I'm not going to do it per se out of a stack, because it doesn't matter. I mean, you can zone blitz out of a 4-3-3-4, 3-3-5. That part doesn't matter. It's how do you play the underneath coverage, and then we'll talk about the stack stuff. How do we get there? And I'll show you all the pressures that we run. I mean, that part's not a big deal. Okay? It's called MCD. Okay, MCD. This is the first way that I learned to play it. Match, carry, deliver. Okay, that's what MCD stands for. Match, carry, deliver. Alright. This is more of a man concept. Okay? It's more of a man concept. Alright? Now, for the sake of this, let me write underneath what those things mean. You would match the out. You would carry anything vertical. And you would deliver anything inside. Okay? That's how the underneath part of it works. So you would match the out, you'd carry the seam, you'd deliver anything that goes inside. Okay? Alright, now, knowing that, okay, and I'll just write it like this. You have 2 hot 2 players, and you have 1 hot 3 player, or final 3, or low hole, or you can call it, people call this guy 2 seam. I mean, there's all kinds of terms for it. Okay? But when you come out, you guys number their eligibles, like from the outside into the center. Okay? So the outside guy's 1, next guy's over is 2. Okay? Anybody, that guy's 3. Okay? So we count from 1 to 3, okay, somewhere. So from the outside into the center. Okay? So what we know is we need to cover down hot 2, hot 3, and hot 2. We'd have to cover it down like that. Okay? Those would be our areas. Okay, but again, we're matching people. We're playing a man concept underneath. If you thought about it this way, Dave Aranda is a good buddy of mine he's the DC at the University of Hawaii. He initially taught it to me this way. Okay? Is if you look at these 3, and you look at those 3, you're playing 3-on-3 basketball. And you're man-to-man. But you're passing screens and shit like that. Okay? And switches. Us 3 have to handle those 3. Okay? Is basically how he explained it. Alright? Now it can change, but that's where it starts. So what does that mean? Okay? Here's what that means. In a man concept, let's just say I'm the strong safety. And I don't even care where you line him up. Okay? I don't care if he's at 5 yards. I don't care if he's inside the guy faking blitz. I don't care what he's doing. If that guy ran an outside route, I have to match him. He is yours man-to-man. Because in our 3-on-3 concept, he just went out. Does that make sense? Okay? So he is mine. If, no matter what happens, this guy went vertical. And again, I'm telling you, when we first taught it, I've played these guys 2 different ways. When we first taught it, with Poway, we were 5 yards deep. We would bounce, and as soon as we got drop back pass, we would choke our motor out. When that guy went vertical, I would turn and run with him. Okay? So we played it like this. Then I flip my hip and I take him. Okay? So if 2 goes vertical, what do? Carry the seam. Okay? I carry the seam. The final rule was that if 2 went in, okay, if 2 went in, then I would yell in. I would squeeze it until I got to the new number 2. Okay, so who is that? Well, it's all based on what that guy does. So if he comes to the edge to block, I know I'm yelling in, and I have to stop right there. Okay, because he can do what? Check out, and who is he? He's number 2. Okay, if he went the other way, and he went this way, I'd be yelling in. I'd continue to squeeze. Well, this guy, who could be potentially my new number 2, did what? He went away. So as I squeeze, what am I looking for? I'm looking for this guy coming back. Okay? So the whole thing is that you're playing 3-on-3 basketball, but you're passing underneath routes, which is the difficult thing about man coverage, chasing crossing routes. That's how it evolved, okay, or it started, okay, in a sense. All right, now, the guy who's playing final 3, I would drop over the top of number 3, wherever he is. Okay, I'm getting a depth of 10 to 12 yards, and I'm shrinking and expanding. So if you drop and the quarterback's looking that way, then I'm sliding that way. If I'm getting an in call, okay, who's my new number 3? He is. I should be looking to carry these things because it's 3-on-3. We're passing each other off. Okay? If they came out in trips, well, who's that? That's 2. That's 3. Okay? Well, what do I know? If he went vertical, what would I have to do? I'd have to carry. Okay? If he goes out, what am I yelling? Out. Right? Again, he's not here. Right? So here's where you start to get into having to trade shit. Okay, so let's say this happened. He's thinking I got to do what? Carry. And you better hope to God he didn't flip his hips. Because now he's getting a call of what? Out. So where does he have to go? To the out. Okay? Who does he have to go to? He has to carry the seam. Okay? And while all this is happening, your corner is man-to-man on number 1 unless he breaks a route inside under 6 yards. Okay? So, what would happen is you start getting this. Right? Which happens. It's a very common route we're seeing now. Okay? Where you get this. I don't know how much you're seeing it, but we see it a lot. And it shouldn't be hard. Okay? I mean, it really shouldn't. But here's what we said. Alright. That guy who's matching number 2. Okay? As soon as you get an out call, that overrides anything. Okay? So he would go out, out, out. You hope to God he'd hear it, right? But what's the corner yelling? In. But you heard an out, out, out. Okay? So I got to go. Mike, I'm yelling out, out, out. I'm thinking I'm going to this guy, but then I see this guy coming in who becomes the final who? 3. I better be sitting on that. Corner, if I ever make an in and in call, I sink off and I've got to have number 2. Okay? Here becomes the problem. People are able to do different things to manipulate you to where A, number 1, your kids are thinking too much. Okay? And B, if somebody fucks it up, somebody's running free. Somewhere. Okay? Let's say your corner doesn't, let's say, well, let's not say that. Here's the other part of it. And and again, you're going to see some carryover in different things. I'm just going to show you how you can make things easier. 5-step drop. Okay? 5-step drop, but that guy runs hitch. It's not 3-step, it's smash. Okay? Our corner recognizes smash. He yells China, China. Anytime in cover 3. Okay? He yells China, China. That sends him to there. Okay, you got to go. Here's the problem. Our guys spend so much time thinking that they've got to carry him vertical, they flip their hips, they get a China call, either they hear it or didn't hear it. This guy's like 14 yards deep by the time he even breaks on a damn China call. And, you've got him coming from deep, and it's just like taking candy from a baby, man. They're killing you on it. Okay? So you can do it that way. But the point is that when you play match, carry, deliver, you're basically just playing man free. You're just saving yourself on underneath crossing routes. Okay? It takes a lot of teaching time. Okay, a lot. And if you're a zone coverage team, why are you trying to teach all this matchup shit? Okay? Second of all, let's say we're using 3 under 3 deep more as a run thing. Let's get a 5th guy to hit the run hard, right? And get him play an 8-man front that way because we're playing cover 3. Well, why do you want to teach all this time on the pass? You know what I mean? It's hard. So at Poway, what happened was we taught it like this. And I was like, well, we're just playing man free. And we're not a man defense, you know what I mean? So why are we playing it this way? Then I obviously went and talked to more people who did it differently. Okay? Last year at Fallbrook, we played it this way. And we weren't a good man coverage team to begin with. And we spent more time teaching this that we never even really got into run fits very much out of it. Therefore, we couldn't even play it against the run because we weren't that good at it. So we were spending all this time trying to match up on the pass, and it didn't work out. Okay? But that's one way to play. It's match, carry, deliver, and that's it. Corner, your rule is this. You are man-to-man on number 1, unless he breaks underneath within 6 yards. Then you yell in and in, you go to number 2, and you take him. Now, why? This was created for 2 reasons. Number 1, to deny shallow crossing routes. People weren't chasing like they were in man free. Number 2, eliminates 4 vertical. And it does. Okay? But, how often are you really getting 4 vertical? Okay? And you can still play 4 vertical, promise you. Okay? And how much time are you spending teaching this stuff and really getting out of it what you want? We weren't getting out of it what we wanted. Manny Diaz is going to tell you the same exact thing. And this is a guy who was at Middle Tennessee State, then was the DC at Mississippi State, and now is the new DC at Texas. Who was saying, we did this, we're not going to do this anymore. We're going to make it even easier. Okay? So, from there, let me show you the next way that you can play it. We call this the skiff concept. Okay? We had great success with this at Poway. If I never saw the Manny Diaz stuff, I would probably just run it this way. Okay, and that's how we ran it at Poway in 07 once we changed what we did, and we were a lot better off. Okay, all right. Here's what skiff means. Seam, curl, flat. Okay, seam, curl, flat. All right, now, here's how we taught it. It was more of a zone concept. We were just zoning based off of the route of the receiver. Okay, so it was a zone concept, but we were zoning off the route of the receiver. Okay, so here's our hot 2 guy. I keep calling him an S because it's some sort of a nickel safety for us. Okay, here's how we taught it. Ball snapped. I would bounce. Okay, he's keying the in on the line in the backfield. Hi-hat pass. Because this is how we play our strong safeties in cover 3 anyway. First thing we said we had to do was deny the seam route. Okay, that didn't mean we were going to carry the seam route. We were still going to stay square, but we were going to deny the seam route. Okay, so I bounce. Once I got drop back pass or hi-hat, then I started to what we call choke my motor. Okay, I would choke my motor. So I would bounce to say the ball's in here. Okay, I would bounce, I get hi-hat pass. We would basically just walk out, or we would tell them, back pedal with no hands. Because it's like anything, this, however you do it, is going to move this faster. So you have to scrape the bottom of your kneecaps, and you snap your eyes, and you can back pedal, but you can't use your hands. Okay? When he's going vertical, now I know I'm denying the seam. So, once he gets 1.5 yards from you, bless you, you're going to make a stand. Okay? So I was choking my motor, bam, coach is 1.5 yards from me, boom. Now I'm going to get set up to jam him. Okay? That should happen at 8 to 10 yards. Okay? That should happen at 8 to 10 yards. Your goal is always to reroute him 3 yards off his release. It's never going to happen, but that's your goal. Okay? When we first taught it, when we taught match, carry, deliver, okay, we were never making a stand because we had to carry the guy. So it became a very soft, run through my shoulder, make him open, make him force you to open and run with him and do those things. We were catching him. On this, we're going to look to reroute and jam. And you reroute with your feet. You guys play cover 2? Well, shit. I mean, that's all yours, a squat corner. I mean, it's the same thing, no matter how you cut it. Okay? We would have him push from the inside out. Okay? Because here's the thing about fire zone. I don't care which way you teach it. They have to throw the ball in 2.5 seconds or less. It's not meant to withstand a whole lot of time back there for the quarterback. There's holes in the coverage. Okay? Just like there are in any coverage, but now you got one less guy. Okay? So we played it from the inside out because there's 2 things. 1, make him throw the ball in a hurry, and 2, make him throw it outside. That's the whole principle behind it. Make him throw the ball out here. So we got to deny this from the inside first. Okay? Once I get 1.5 yards from him, I'll make a stand. Reroute him with your feet. So let's just say he goes here. Okay? Well, I'm going to step and replace to get a jam on his ass, right? I'm going to do all that stuff. Bam! I'm going to jam him. Okay? Once I jam, we're going to carry him. It's just like cover 2, right? But once I jam, now I look back at the quarterback because we still got to play with zone eyes. Okay? We still got to play with zone eyes. If that quarterback drops and sets this way and his shoulders are outside of me, I'm going to expand that way. I'm going to come off and I'm going to squeeze and move laterally to the outside. I'm not going to turn and run. I'm just going to start sliding that way. Okay? Mike linebacker. Just say the back, who cares? Came this way. Okay? Here I am. The final 3 player. I drop over the top of 3. Okay? Quarterback sets I set. I should be at 10 to 12. Okay? He's looking this way. I should be sliding that way. Okay? The zone is going to move. Yes? Backside guy. Here he comes. Start to choke my motor. 1.5 yards. Make a stand. I jam. I just start to carry him. Quarterback's looking away from me. Squeeze back. Right? He's expanding. He's shrinking. Those are the terms that we use. Okay? He's expanding. He's shrinking. From there, we teach 2 things. 1, we teach palm off because it's zone defense. Okay? It's zone defense. When this is any zone, I mean, you can be in cover 3, it can be your damn linebackers, doesn't matter. Okay? When you're in zone defense and you guys are, you know, playing square and moving laterally, you're looking at the chin, the front shoulder and the front palm of the quarterback. That palm comes off at all, you're gone. Okay? So that palm comes off, I'm gone, I'm gone, I'm gone. Okay? That's why quarterbacks that tap help us out. Right? That guy that taps for rhythm before he throws, you gave us an extra step or 2 on you. Does that make sense? Okay? So that's the first thing. The second thing is the concept, he's never coming back. He's never coming back. Okay? He was looking this way. Yes? So you 3 are the underneath guys. You guys are all, you're expanding, you're shrinking, right? Obviously we're spaced. Okay? Now, as you guys are doing that, shit, it ain't there, right? What's he going to do? He's going to go to his primary side. If it's not there, he can come back to his outlet, right? He's never coming back to you 2. So we're going to go back. Stick your foot in the ground and turn and run like hell. Okay, so we were expanding, we were sliding, we were expanding. He turned back, I'm gone. We're expanding. Who's got to hold his water? You. You don't even know where I'm going. Chances are as I'm shrinking down, I'm coming back into this area somewhere. Right? Okay, so you just got to make sure. So you come back, but where am I coming back to? You probably still squeezing to it. Okay? So that's how we're playing verse number 2. We're playing the seam. We're not running with it and carrying it, but we're going to reroute and shrink and expand. Okay, underneath coverage. Alright? If he goes out, so I bounce, I get a high hat, I just start to choke my motor, he goes out, 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 out. You go to the curl. Okay, just like you did in cover 3. Okay, you go to the curl. Out, out, out. I break for the curl. Now, how do I go to the curl? Okay, it's probably the same thing you guys teach out of Magic, okay? Every step I take, I'm back and forth, right? Head on a swivel. 1 step to the curl, 1 step to the quarterback. 1 step to the curl, 1 step to the quarterback. Why? You still have to see him throw that. We're giving it up. Make him throw short, outside, in a hurry. If it's 3rd and 4 and you're expecting curl out, is this a good defense? No. Getting 4 under 2 deep. Okay? And you'll kick the shit out of it. Okay? But in this case, you know we're giving that up. Now, on 3rd and 7, is it a good defense? Certainly. You can have your 4-yard route. We're going to catch you, tackle you. It's 4th and 2, 4th and 3, punt the football. Okay? So you got to decide on what you want. Alright? Now, when I go to the curl, every step I take, my eyes are going to the curl, to the quarterback, to the route, to the quarterback. Here's our aiming point. Okay? 10 yards deep. 1 by 1. Okay? 10 yards deep. 1 yard underneath and 1 yard inside the curl, the receiver. That's my aiming point. Okay, so if coach was the curl, right, and I'm here, I'm pulling back and forth. I want to end up square, 1 yard inside and 1 yard underneath. Okay, if I overexpand, he's going to find a window inside of me, yes? Okay, so I'm going to hold here, okay, until the quarterback tells me where to go. Yes, always play from the top down. All right. If we were in 4 under 3 deep, we would allow him to continue to slide from that depth because you're getting another linebacker help, but we don't have that now, right? So that's different. Okay? Play from the top down. The final thing is if this guy comes in. Okay, if this guy comes in. I bounce, I choke my motor, I yell in, I squeeze to the new number 2. That part didn't change. Okay? So how we played the seam was more of a zone concept because that's how we played cover 3 too. Okay? If you were going to throw 2 vertical and 1 on a 14-yard comeback and we called cover 3 and you could throw it to the 14-yard comeback, you're going to catch it. You know what I mean? Chances are you're going to catch it. Okay? We were giving that up. Okay? Beat us on that one. We weren't in cover 3 to stop that. But we did want to bang the seam. Okay? So we were going to do the same thing here in fire zone. A lot of people play it this way now too. Okay? They bang, carry, more of a zone concept, shrink and expand. Okay? But that part was the same. Now, let's talk corner play. Because we said, shit, we're going to be a zone team, right? Okay? So here's how we played our corners. Corners, you had a 5-1 bottom rule. Yes? You got a 5-1 bottom rule. First thing we taught them was in their slide back, and I got this initially from Wyoming, but I've seen other people do it too. Because Wyoming was a big fire zone 303 deep team. We would start in our initial position, right? But as soon as the ball snapped, we would start to short skip this way. So our slide back became with our ass to the sideline. Okay? And here's why we did that. We were protecting right now from any vertical pass by 1. How shitty would it be to blitz and have them throw a 3-step fade and you couldn't cover it very well, right? So you're going to protect that. So the first thing you got to do is deny the 3-step fade. So even though we're starting here, we're going to start skipping with our ass to the sideline. Some people call this face the play, okay? So I'm here, ball snap, face the play, and your slide back. Plus, it actually kind of does open up your vision. You feel very comfortable and very safe. So we are reading the 3-step that way. Okay, we are reading the 3-step, which goes back to this. Excuse me, I know I didn't bring this up. When 2 runs out, you run through the slant to the curl. I'm sure that it's the same type of teaching, right? So, hunt up 1. If 1 runs a slant, run right through his inside pec, which means if they're going to throw the slant, he had better have to clear you where the Mike linebacker now is helping us out. Okay? Like that. All right, so I'm going to place the play in my slide back. Okay, I'm reading the quick game. No quick game, now I'm in the 5-step. Okay, you cross over. You're already in the crossover. I mean, you're out. Your butt's already to the sideline. Okay, now you're in your crossover, and we tell them, look, you got a 7-yard head start, man. Okay, so just go about 3/4 tempo. Okay, go about 3/4 tempo, and you read number 2. Okay, you read number 2. If number 2 goes vertical, okay? If number 2 is going vertical, my initial aiming point is to divide, okay, out of a crossover. That's your initial aiming point. And we call it an aiming point because you may never get there, okay? It's an aiming point. So if number 2 goes vertical, our initial aiming point is to divide them in a crossover, not in a back pedal. Okay? No problem. If number 2 goes out, well, where's your safety going? To the curl. Your safety cannot handle a wheel, right? And you can take it to the bank, for the most part, that if 2 goes out, you will be on the primary side of the route. I mean, they're either going to run curl out. I don't even give a shit if they run a wheel. The quarterback will be looking that way. They're not going to run an out route to this on the backside of a play. Okay, so you will be primary. So as I cross over, if 2 goes out, you stayed off and outside. Okay, you stay off and outside. Period. All right, you stay off and outside. And this is how we teach the next way too. So the corner play here wouldn't change. So if 2 goes out, I stay off and outside. Why? This guy will take this. I have to anticipate that. Make sense? Okay? All right. The final thing is number 2 goes in. If number 2 goes in, is he a vertical threat to you any longer? No, he didn't go out. He can't wheel. He didn't go vertical. Okay, so I start my skip, start to cross over. 2 goes in. Okay, I was here. 2 goes in. I don't have to worry about him. I'm just taking you man to man from here. Okay, I'm just taking you man to man because you know that guy was squeezing a little bit, right? So I've got you man to man. But I'm already crossed over, so he ain't gonna take me deep, you know. Well, why don't you go ahead and run your little 14-yard comeback? We said he's got 2.5 seconds. His ass better get sacked, okay, etc. Okay, so I'd take you man to man. All right. That's how we play the corner. Now, the only other thing that really matters is what happened when 2 goes vertical. Because if 2 went out, where'd they go? Off and outside. If 2 went in, I manned 1. So now we need to know how to play 4 vertical with only 3 guys. Okay? Well, that comes back to cover 3 principles for us. What do we do? If the underneath coverage is going to shrink and expand, well, shouldn't the deep guys? We all should. The zone's going to move. Okay, the zone's going to move. So here's how we teach it. And again, we called it aiming points. Okay, free safety or whoever's in the deep middle of the field, and we'll talk about how you're going to get there, who's going to get there, etc. later. Okay, free safety, apex and number ones. You're in the deep middle of the field. That quarterback goes back to pass. We'll start with this: the ball snap. Okay, the ball snap. I'm not sure who you guys have him read. We try and have him get to read in here. Okay, to see pullers and hi-hat and all that, but you don't want to be complicated. Tell him to read the damn quarterback. Okay, tell him to slide back on the snap. When he shows run, you can't go anywhere until that quarterback clears the deep back, because by that point we'll know if he handed it or not. Okay, but either way, once I work my slide back, I get drop back, play action, what have you. Now I'm into my back pedal. Whichever way the quarterback is looking, you're going to melt that way. We call it a melt. Okay, you're going to angle pedal. You're going to weave. Whatever you want to use as your term. Okay, which means, let's say this quarterback drops and set over here. I was in my back pedal. As soon as he set that way, I start to angle pedal that way for depth on a 45. Okay, now, and again, this is pass coverage, and we're not talking a lot of technique stuff, but the ideal way to do it in a melt, okay, as you back pedal on the 45 is always to kick this toe behind the front heel. Okay, kick your back toe behind the front heel, because as you work, okay, then it keeps your hips square. All right, and that's something we can talk about at another time. All right, because what happens is high school kids all do this. They all turn their hips. Well, great. The problem is I'm supposed to be turning my hips. I got to open and drive that way eventually. You know what I mean? Your hips are pointing the wrong way. But that's its own thing. Okay, so I'm going to angle pedal this way. So in theory, I cancel that. Yes, by the time our guy got his reroute, all that good stuff. Okay, front side corner. I started my skip. Shit, two's going vertical. I'm just thinking to get to my where? Aiming point, which is splitting those two. But what do I know? Quarterback is looking my way. Who's going that way? Free safety is. Okay, just fade back out in your crossover. Okay, so I start to skip. I'm thinking, okay, I just got to split 1 and 2. Oh wait, quarterback's looking my way. I'm going to fade back out. Okay, expand, just like everybody else is. Aren't these two exactly the same as those two? They are. Okay, it's the same. All right, now, the backside guy. You know that he has to what? Shrink. Okay, because he's set this way. Well, I have to shrink. I know that my free safety is moving away from me. Okay? So, here's how it works. If he's looking away, I know that I have to squeeze that seam. Okay? And you ask your kids, look, and you got to teach them this shit. When they go floor vertical against cover 3, and that quarterback knows your free safety will move out of the middle, he will look him off, one way or the other. Okay? But who do they want to throw the ball to? The seam. Okay? They're not trying to throw the ball to this guy. It'll take forever to get there. So we have to over squeeze this guy. So when we do that, we have a 3-yard rule. Which means as I squeeze this seam corner, you must stay 3 yards outside of him. So let's say I ran the seam, right? And John was squeezing on the backside. He's got a 3-yard rule. Okay, why? When that quarterback comes back, he's going to look to throw to me. And you say, well, then why don't I overplay him, coach? In case he does decide to go all the way out there. You have to give yourself time to center field turn way back outside if he does opt to throw to number 1 out there. Okay? But if he does that, shit, the ball's up all day. How you going to know? This guy's going to be high shoulder up here, man. He's going to be cranking that thing. Okay? So I've got a 3-yard rule. So if he comes back to him, boom, sitting on it, playing on it. Pick it, knock it down, something. Okay? If he came all the way back high shoulder outside, then I would center field turn and run through his face. What are these guys playing? He's never coming back, just like everybody else. I was working my angle pedal. He turned this way. Stick your foot in the ground and run like hell for the post. I'm fading. Stick your foot in the ground. Just keep, everybody goes back. Make sense? Okay? All right, well, that's it in a nutshell. And again, it'll make sense when you go back and get your tape, okay, of how that works. Now, let's talk about trips and matching up and playing against tight ends and stuff like that. We're in this coverage. We're playing skip. I have a tight end. And you'll see some carryover into the Manny Diaz way too when we get there. Okay? Well, if I have a tight end, well, now I'm 4x3. Or 3x4, however you want to call it. Okay? I'm 4 yards deep, 3 yards outside. You do the same thing from there. So I bounce. Now, obviously, you got to think about playing the run. Okay? But let's just assume it was a pass. We'll get to run fits. If that tight end went vertical, you would still choke your motor, but you would do it from there. You're not going to squeeze back to the tight end. Okay? Why? You're going to have a Mike linebacker now and a free safety that are a hell of a lot closer to him. Don't over squeeze him and leave this corner on an island out here. So if I was choking my motor and that quarterback dropped and set out here, fuck, expand that way. Why? The Mike's going to be squeezing to him. Okay, just move that way. Alright? If he went out, he arrowed, go to the curl. He goes in, work for the next guy. I mean, all those things apply. The biggest thing is you don't have to jam a tight end. Okay? Well, you ask yourself, in the most basic form of things, my number 2's a running back. Okay? Well, let's say it was this safety who was hot 2 over here. You come into the box, you line your ass up over the guard, and you yell, I'm here, at the top of your lungs. You guys remember the I'm here stuff yesterday? Okay, who are you talking to? You're talking to the Mike, who is responsible for who? 3, Mike, move your ass over the guard. So now you've got, a bracket at least in terms of run fits and stuff. And we'll talk about run fits. Okay, but that's how guys play like bear with a 2 linebacker system. Whether it's man free, right? If it's man free, he's responsible for him. Those 2 are responsible for those 2, right? And whatever, okay? But in zone blitz, it's the same thing. So you can give the same appearance. It doesn't have to be man free, okay? Now, the thing about the 3-3-5, that's a safety. I mean, you got to think about that too. But here's something that we're thinking about doing. Because it's not always going to be a safety that drops hot too. It could be a linebacker. It's going to be all kinds of people. Okay? When we play 21 personnel, if we know that they don't, necessarily end up in a bunch of other things, fuck it. We'll line up in the bear, substitute a linebacker for that guy. You should keep your field safety in to go to either the field or to the 2-cut side. That's not hard. And now you got 2 linebackers, you know what I mean, that can fit and fill and do things like that. So, in essence, going more to a 3-4 type personnel sub-package, okay, to do stuff like that. Because, like anybody else, part of our issue is when we play big teams that are going to knock the shit out of you, we don't always have the greatest answer because that kid is a 165-pound, safety, okay? So that's how that works. All right, now, here's what we've always taught them. Well, I don't have anywhere to go. My number 2 is here. Yes? Where's my drop? Okay? We would teach them to drop into the slant area. Okay? Start dropping into the slant area. Okay? Take away this void. Now, if number 2 shot out, you're already there. Okay? So as long as the quarterback drop, then set this way. Okay? You're defending the slant. Okay? Or you can put them basically where we would send them is into the slant area or head toward the numbers. All right? If the quarterback looked the other way, you would stick your foot in the ground immediately and squeeze back because you know the Mike is already doing this and you know he's already doing that. So we're trying to create the same distance between each guy. Okay? So that is underneath coverage. Now, the benefit of that, if somebody was running free, at least they're running to who? 3 deep. Okay, they're running the 3 deep, so you will be safe in that sense. Okay, now I'm going to go back to this matchup, and then we'll take a quick break. Okay, corner, I skip, I crossed over, I didn't give a shit. You can take it to the bank, the quarterback was going to drop and set that way. Okay, well, hell, no problem. That guy's going to come right to me, yes? Okay? This guy was going to sift back and look to jam, at least be square, not turning and running with a seam. He would be square. My linebacker would be looking to, in theory, jam him from the inside. But what'd he do? He went out, yes? So what would he be yelling? Out, out, out. So at least from a squared position, plus with vision, you hopefully, ideally, you'd see him, but not always. Now, I would go to the curl to play the top down. Does that make sense? Okay, I would go to the curl and I'd play top down. Again, we're going to give that up. Okay, Mike, I still end up on number 3. All right, so the one advantage of this is you don't ever have your corner chasing him. In case your corner chased him, they may have a corner out wide open and match, carry, deliver. Okay, well, they won't have that now because we're zoning off. The other advantage is this guy will be working for width because he's square, not saying, oh shit, I got caught, and then somehow trying to run back downhill. Okay? Those are more the advantages of that way. Let's take a break. We'll talk about the other way, how it gets even easier. You can be a freaking idiot and do it. Okay? You don't have to think very much. The teaching time is simple, and we'll see if that's something that you guys enjoy more than that. And that's going to be the Manny Diaz stuff. Okay? All right, go ahead. And you're not going to hear me tell you anything different than you're going to hear on those tapes, okay? But it will be, you know, when he says, yeah, we used to be a match team, you're going to know exactly what he's talking about. It was that first way to do it. And maybe some year you guys are going to be a big man coverage team. You got, that's, you know, all you ever have to work with your kids is on press man, loose man, however, fire zone, and match, carry, deliver. Then fine, you know what I mean? But the years you have the zone teams, here was the problem I had. We were a cover 3, cover 2 football team. Until we fired zone, we were basically a man free. So I'd rather just call man free, you know what I mean, and not make them think so much. Okay? Well, like he has said, and what we are looking to do is, the problem is with match, carry, deliver, we're making our kids think a lot. Okay? What happens when 2 goes vertical? Fuck, I gotta cover him. Yet, wait, I'm still the force player, right? Against the run. Okay, so that's part of an issue. Okay, if he goes out, our guys were always chasing him man to man. Okay, and when he wheeled, they had him man to man, so you had to win that matchup. And if there was a curl out combo, you're defending the curl from the top down with the corner. Okay, now because your corner's in man to man now again, right, and things like that, because that receiver went 12-yard route. So that didn't help us out, and it really our guys just had to think a bunch, and we would, and he says it on there, and it happened to us a bunch. Guys would get turned loose all the time in practice. Somebody didn't match up correctly, and someone is running free. So what happened is a defense that I have predominantly loved in the past, we really went away from it. One, we spent so much time on pass coverage, and I found that we were blowing shit too much, that you didn't feel necessarily comfortable running against the pass. And number 2, we spent so much time on pass coverage, we couldn't even really get good at defending the run out of it because we were doing pass coverage stuff. So then we couldn't run it against the run either, you know what I mean? And so it became something that we should have been able to run a bunch of, but didn't. We just weren't very successful. So we've studied, this came from PT. I was going to go back to the skiff stuff anyway, okay, saying, look, we need to play zone with our damn corners. Let's play zone underneath. It's a lot easier. But I think this even now becomes simpler, okay? All right, hot 2 players. This, when you first teach it, and I think I really buy into what he's saying, is undercoach things first. Don't show them a whole bunch in the beginning because you're just going to mind fuck them, you know what I mean? Okay? So make it very simple for them. And once they know that they know what they're doing, and there's a big difference between thinking you know what you're doing and knowing you know what you do. And you'll see his philosophy stuff on there. It's outstanding. Okay? When our kids know they know what they're doing in fire zone, then we can start to give them some small things about, okay, now you can bang the seam, or you know, you can do this, you can do that. Okay, you can get into that later once they know that they know. All right, hot 2 players, balls in the middle of the field. So to me, there's a hot 2 player, middle of the field is where we're going to start. Balls in the middle of the field. Okay? I'm not even going to put a formation out there because it doesn't matter. When we did fire zone before, match, carry, deliver, could you practice it unless you had an offense? Nope. Okay? This shit, you can. Okay? You can practice it all. Okay? Hot 2 player. Ball's in the middle field. Okay? Here's what this means. If it's a pass, okay, we want you 2 yards outside the high school hash. Okay? Anywhere from 5 to 12 yards deep based on the set of the quarterback. Okay? So if that quarterback takes a 1, 2, or 3-step drop, your ass had better be 2 yards outside the hash, 5 yards deep. That's it. Okay? That's it. Okay? And you're getting ready to play. Shit, you're sitting in the slant window of 2 hitched, you'd be around. Okay? Etc. Alright? If that quarterback goes beyond a 3-step drop, then your ass is 10 to 12 yards deep. They're playing 12 to 14 in college. Okay, high school would play at 10 to 12. You are 10 to 12 yards deep. 2 yards outside the hash. That's it. Forget matching anybody. Forget relating to anybody. Get your ass right there. Okay? Same thing with the hot 2 middle of the field player over here. Okay? Hot 2 middle of the field. If that guy runs a 1, 2, or 3-step drop, you had better be 5 yards deep, 2 yards outside the hash. If he runs a 5-step drop, okay, we want you 10 to 12, 2 yards outside the hash. That's it. You just worked a spot drop. That could have been a safety. That could have been a linebacker. It could be a damn nose guard if you want it to. It can be anybody, right? You say, look, you're hot 2 middle of field, where you need to be. That's it. Okay, it's not even matching anybody. Okay, hot 3. This guy's simple. Hot 3 is always middle field, no matter how you cut it. Okay? Versus a 3-step drop, we want you at 5. Okay? Middle field. Versus a 5-step drop, we want you at 10 to 12. Middle field. Everybody, shrink and expand. That's it. That's all there is to it. Okay? That's all there is to it. So, here's the beauty of it. And, you know, you could put in a new blitz. Someone can miss a meeting. Okay, and he's going to tell this to you exactly on this tape, right? So let's say we put in Shark today, right? Kid comes, Coach, I wasn't at the meeting with Shark. Oh, you're hot 2 middle field. All right, no problem. No problem. All right, that's it. Okay, and you can practice this. You can practice all of those things. It's all the same position with any position that you want. So you know what's so great about this? They circuit it, right? Okay, you're in charge of hot 2 middle field today, Coach. So when you get safeties. If this is a free safety, have him drop down there. If it's a spur, he's already sitting there, right? If it's a linebacker, he can drop from there. I mean, whatever. But you all have to get in the same place. It doesn't even matter where you start, it's where you finish. Does that make sense? Okay? Very simple. Okay? Very simple. All right? Now, getting more into detail. Okay, so you start with this. Pure zone drop, shrink and expand. Do that for a couple days until they can do that. Okay, then you're going to start to get into, well, you said I was hot 2. What does hot 2 mean? It says, look, if that quarterback takes a quick set, 1, 2, or 3-step drop, and number 2 runs a hitch right in front of you, or whoever becomes number 2 in that area, cover him. That's it. You better blow his ass up. Okay? So number 2 comes out. He takes a 3. I don't give a shit. I don't care if your ass was lined up on the edge of the thing like you were going to show blitz. Okay? The time that ball snapped, if that guy runs a 3-step drop and that number 2 sits down on 5 yards, your ass had better cover him. That's it. Or whoever becomes number 2. Yes? So if they do this, who became number 2? It's just going to end up in the same damn place. Okay? They're going to end up in the same place. All right? Which is nice. Now, kid may say, well, Coach, what if the guy runs it and he's lined up on the hash? Well, fuck, kid. I mean, you know, you can play with a few yards either way. Okay? Not a big deal. You can play with a few yards either way. Okay? I mean, I know what PT's thinking. He's like, well, I'm just going to make the guy the wing, and I'm going to send him right there, and I'm going to turn him around. We play them. He's the offensive coordinator. Okay? Well, look, man. First of all, you know, have some common sense. Okay? But second of all, why are we looking to do this? If it's first down and they throw 3-step, they might win that one. Okay? But they had better be throwing it outside. Okay. Here's another thing too. Do you guys do much based on personnel and stuff like that?
Last year we did. This year probably not as much.
Off of the opponent's personnel. Like, are you looking to wait to see what they come out in on first down?
It depends on the team. Some
We,
teams.
we've done that. We've done.
Okay.
It depends on how much the offense is
Yeah.
messing around with it. We get a
Right.
couple like Bothell where they throw either two, but they shift it a bunch.
Right.
But a lot of teams up there, no huddle, they don't shift it a lot at all.
Oh, so they're staying with the same stuff?
Well, we had some.
We had some.
It game plan, game to game. There were 2 or 3 times last year where if they sent number 23 in,
Right,
then
right.
we'd send this
Right,
group on.
right. And so here was a great point. I don't remember if it was him. I don't remember who I picked it up from. But somebody said was talking about how great fire zone is on first down when you can't figure out what personnel's coming into the game. Because there's those offenses, right? It's the start of a new series. And their whole damn team, everybody is lined up over there. And you're like, fuck, are they 12 personnel, 21 I mean, who's coming into the game? And by the time you figure it out, you're too late with your call, right? Fire zone's a good way to just say, screw it. We can fire zone you on first down if we can't figure out your personnel, as opposed to saying, we're going to play even cover 3 against 12, and we're going to play this against 10, and we're going to, you know what I mean? It's a good way to kind of be safe about it, too, which is kind of nice. Okay? But that's it. Okay? That's it. So let's say they come out in trips. Okay? Am I final 3? I am. Okay? For day 1. Let's say ball was in the middle field. Okay? Day 1. If they drop back, where do I need to be? Middle field. Period. 5 yards deep. Okay? 5 yards deep. If they throw the ball to hot 3 in there, you better cover his ass. Okay? That's it. If it's 10 to 12, or 5-step drop, I'll end up 10 to 12. Middle field. That's it. Okay? Now, as they get good, obviously, you can start to teach them to squeeze routes a little bit. Say, you are hot 3, my man. Right? You are hot 3, which means that guy turned around at 5 yards. Wouldn't we want you around? Yeah, we would want you around, right? So go ahead and go cover him. But not until, week 2. Okay? If that. Okay? And this is a guy who coached at Mississippi State. Now he's at Texas. He says, look, the first year or 2, we don't deal with any of that shit. We say, you get there, you get there, you get there, and leave it that way. And he said, watch these guys fucking start teeing off against the run and blitzing. Because they ain't got to think about shit. Okay? And when you go back and you look at your stuff too, you'll be amazed at how often the spacing of the passing game ends up there as well. Because his big thing is, let's get the equal amount of space between each of those underneath defenders and watch them move. And then from there, he was very honest, then athleticism comes in. If they throw the ball, can we make a play on it? You know what I mean? Okay? So I am now hot 3. Okay? I'm set there. Well, here's number 2. Depending on who this is, okay, all I know is whoever is hot 2 needs to end up where? Right there. That's it. And we can talk about who lines up where. We'll get into all the blitz stuff here in a minute. Okay? And we'll get into run fits too. Okay? But when in the simplest sense, he takes a 3-step drop, I'm 5 yards deep, middle of field. Okay? I'm 5 yards deep, 2 yards outside the hash. He goes beyond that, we go beyond that. Shrink and expand. That's it. Okay? I've never seen it played that way. You start watching it on his tapes and stuff like that, and you say it can't be that simple. It is. Okay, it is. I think sometimes we try and complicate shit too much, and then we find out, like I did, fuck, we can't do any of it. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it sounds great, because that's how Alabama does it, but, I ain't got Alabama's guys either. You know what I mean? Okay? And then our run support didn't get good and stuff like that. Okay? Now, if the ball's on a hash, it changes. Okay? If the ball's on a hash, then we have hot 2 to the field. We have hot 2 to the boundary. Okay? And we have hot 3. Well, guess what? Hot 3 never changed. Okay? Hot 3 never changed. So that's nice. Get your ass in the middle field. Ball's on a hash. Okay? Alright? Ball's on a hash. Hot 2 into the boundary. Drop back pass. Want you 4 yards outside the hash. Okay, we want you 4 yards outside the hash. Hot 2 to the field, hash mark. Stand on it. Okay, hash mark. Because if you were a spot drop team in cover 3, guess where that strong safety would be with ball on hash? Be on the damn hash mark. Hell, that's in the NFL with, you know, and the reason you do that is your whole point, even in cover 3, is to say if you're going to throw the ball to the field, it better be that the numbers are wider. Okay, don't go out here and cover a bunch of this and let them throw the ball in here. Okay, middle of field player, middle field. Okay, so in the boundary, we're 4 yards outside the hash. Okay, to the field, we're right up the hash. Okay, and in the middle of field, we're here. Wait, I may have screwed that up. We may be 2 yards outside the hash, I think, is boundary. Yeah, I was getting a little wide there. 2 yards outside the hash. Okay, so here's the beauty of it. Who's the only guy that ever changed? Hot 2 to the field. It's the only guy that ever changed. Okay, so all you need to know is, okay, I'm hot 2 to the field, ball's on the hash, no problem, it's a hash mark drop. I just don't have to be quite as wide. Okay, that's it. All right, that's it. Obviously, I want to, these guys don't need to change. Okay, he can shift down a little bit because of how much further over they came. All right, but we don't need to change anybody. Okay, when you look at run fits, very simple. Okay, very simple, and he explains it. This is part of the reason why it's something that we're looking to get to for a couple of reasons. Number one, I think it's going to make it easy in terms of more guys can do more things. Okay, all I have to say is, hey, you're hot 2 to the field on this blitz. Okay, well, you can design all kinds of shit. Like, okay, hot 2 to the field, no problem. I got to get to the hash. That's it. Okay, it's not I have to match him, and when he goes out, I have to cover him, but then when he goes in, I need to squeeze him, and when he goes vertical, I need to carry him. Okay, you don't need to do those things. All right, so it makes it easy. All right, now, in terms of run fits, your hot 2 players, whether to the field or middle of the field, are your force players. Okay, which means you got to turn the ball back in. Yes, you've got to force the ball or contain the ball back in. Okay, you're the last guy outside. Okay, or you're the primary guy outside, which means if they option, you got pitch. Right? If it's toss sweep, you better get to the outside peg of the ball carrier. If it's run at you and it's run wide, okay, then you need to fit outside of number 2. That's what force means. Okay, that's what force means. Okay, the hot 3 player is a pace the ball guy, inside out on everything. Okay, so if you look at it in terms of PT yesterday, I think talked a little bit about outside inside cutback, right? When you guys were boxing,
Lever, spill, lever.
lever, spill, lever. Okay, these 3 guys, no matter how you cut it, are lever, spill, lever all over the field. All over the field, no matter how you cut it. Okay? So let's say there's number 3. Okay? If your guy, the guy you're responsible, is carrying the football, go tackle him. Okay? It's as simple as that. And you say it can't be that easy. And it is. Okay? If the guy you are responsible is carrying the football, go tackle him. Okay? So what do I have to do? Go tackle him. And how do you do it? Inside out. Always. Because who do you have to push it back to? The lever player. Okay? Always. That's it. Doesn't matter where he goes. If the guy you are responsible is carrying the football, go get him. Okay? Now, let's say he went away. Well, this just gets back into rules that we use. If I'm the force player on the backside and they're running the ball away from me, I got to hold, make sure there's no boot, and then fold. Square. Okay? And we still have lever, spill, lever. You stay to the right, I'll stay to the left, and I'm going to be inside out. That's it. You could be an idiot and say, look, you're hot 2 to that side. He ran away from you. Stay on this side. Yes? Give it back to him. You give it back to him. Let's just triangle this ball all the way down the field. Okay? And then you don't have to start getting into so much of, oh, you have to fit this gap. Oh, they ran this blitz. Go, that gap's open. Right? You don't have to think about that as much. Okay? All right, now, you may ask yourself, what if that guy was hot 2 into the boundary, right? And for whatever, for chuckles, okay, that is number 2. Yes? And he ran the ball up the middle. Aren't I responsible for him? Yes? Okay. Well, let's make it very simple. Number 1, do it just like Manny Diaz talks about. And we've done this before in the past, okay? But, you know, again, like anything else, the more you hear people talk about it, the more credibility or it reaffirms what it is that you're doing, okay? If our end guy on the line, let's just say, you know, it doesn't matter what you're in some type of front like that, right? Where you're going to overload pressure and he has to drop hot 2 into the boundary. But my number 2 is the ball carrier. If he dives, you have to tackle him, okay? Because your job is to fit outside of who? Number 2, period, right? So when the ball snapped, no matter what, that guy will start to drop, okay? No matter what, he'll just start to drop. With his eyes where? On number 2. That's who you're responsible for, your hot 2. If that guy dives, fold back in and tackle his ass. Period. Okay? Period. That's it. Your guy have the ball? He does. Go tackle him. Okay? And they talk to them in simple terms such as that. And you'll see it on the tape. Okay? But the thing is I think we've tried to overcomplicate things. And in his philosophy thing, he talks about there's a difference between thinking you know and knowing you know. And if our kids are coming out thinking they know, well, I think I know what I have to do, right? If you think you know, you're not going to play very fast, okay? If you know, I'm responsible for that fucker, okay? I know where my pass drop is. If they give him the ball, I'm going to go tackle his ass. That, to me, that's easy. And you can drill that shit in circuits, okay? Because you can line up wherever you want to. You can go line up on number 1 and be the hot 2 player. I mean, whatever. Okay? All you need to know is your responsibility, and you keep it simple. Okay? You keep it simple. All right? Now, run here. Okay? I know that I am, and here's a big thing that he's going to bring up too. And I'm just kind of introducing this stuff because he's going to give it all to you anyway. And then I'm going to show you guys all the pressure stuff. If the guy you are responsible for is a detached receiver, you are playing pass first. And I thought that was freaking outstanding. Okay? If the guy you are responsible for is a detached receiver, you are thinking pass first. Okay? Which means I had better be thinking about what? Hot 2. I better be thinking about 3-step. They're throwing the ball hot. There's number 2. Right? If he doesn't throw the ball hot, I better be thinking what? 10 to 12. As I'm doing that, they hand the ball off, fit outside the 2. Not a big deal. That's easy. Right? That's easy. Instead of, so let's say, so now how easy is it, right? Now that guy can start to play around. His ass could walk all the way up to the edge and show pressure because what do I know? That guy's a slot. I'm playing pass first. And I know where my drop is. So when that ball snapped, do I have to read a whole bunch of what's going on in here? Absolutely not. I know I better get to my area and read the drop on the way. That's it. That's it. Because we never told him he had to bang him going vertical anyway. Now, as the kids get better, what can you start to add? Hey, you might want to jam that guy if he's going vertical. You know what I mean? You're backing up anyway. Right? Because you were backing up to get to 5 if it was 3-step. You were backing up to get to 10 to 12 if it was 5-step. Why don't you give him a little punch on the way? You know what I mean? That's it. Not, okay, you gotta make a stand and you gotta do all this and you gotta do all that, right? And you'll see, hell, you'll see it on some of the Villanova stuff. And when you go back and you watch the Manny Diaz tapes, there will be guys running a vertical seam. Guy didn't touch him. I mean, it's not like he's bullshit. And the guy does not touch him. He goes right past him. Quarterback's looking that way. Free safety squeezing. You know what I mean? If he comes back, corner squeezing. That's it. Okay? And it's very simple. Okay? It's very simple. So this guy can talk about disguise. He can do all the kinds of things that he wants because he knows where he needs to be. But if he had to match him and he went out, do you realize how difficult that is for him to show pressure and then chase? Really hard to do. Okay, so a lot of times we talk about giving our kids the freedom to prowl, yet we don't really give them a defense to do it in. You know? It's like, hey, why don't you go cover him man-to-man, but somehow show that you're blitzing off the edge and, you know, things like that. Okay? All right. So if your man is a detached receiver, you're thinking pass first. So what's your hot 3 player thinking? He's thinking pass first. Okay? If they run the ball, well, who are you responsible for? 3. Fit off of that gap. Okay? He will create a gap, either inside or outside. Okay? Fit off of him. Now, if he comes to block you, then you go around him. Okay? But you can play high or low or whatever. You know, PT talked about it yesterday. But, you know, for the most part, your fits will be like that. Okay? But go ahead and fit off of him. But I don't even think I'm going to get that much. I'm saying, you got to work to his ass. Shit, go tackle the ball carrier. You know what I mean? Okay? But, you know, again, the more you make him think, your fit's outside of 3. It's outside of 3. It's outside of 3. It's outside of 3. You're slowing him down. Okay? If you say, look, play pass first. Okay? Well, all right. That's your gap. That guy right there. He is your gap. Fit off of him, make a play on the ball. I don't think you'll ever be wrong. Because your guys are playing fast. You know, sometimes I think we get so gap conscious, our kids have to think all the time, and it screws them up. And at least that's my experience with very average kids. Okay? Because the more you do, the more things change, right? You're saying we're going to play cover 2, we're going to play cover 3. We play some cover 8. You know, we're going to play some 4 into 2 deep. We're going to play some 3 into 3 deep. You know, the more we make them think, all right, my fit's outside of 3, my fit's outside of 3, my fit's outside of 3, I think we screw them up. Say, look, that is there is 3. Just run at him. Okay? If it's a pass, drop straight back. You're 5 yards, 10 to 12. It's a run, that's your gap. Run at him. Figure it out. Okay? Make a play on the ball. Okay? Tee off. All right? Again, let's say that was number 2, and that was a safety. What'd we say? They give the ball to your man, go tackle him. Period. Okay? They give the ball to your guy, go tackle him. All right? Okay, let's look at some of the pressures, then I'll show you some of the stuff on tape. All right? Okay, the first thing we start with, and if you guys look at, outside blitzers. This is important, because this screwed us up. If you are an outside blitzer, okay, and it's any type of edge stunt for us. If you're an outside blitzer, okay, here's your generic rule. It could be a linebacker, it could be a safety. If backflow is going away, you got quarterback. Top shoulder. Okay, top shoulder. Now, you can learn to slow down a little bit, okay, and take a picture of what's going on. So as I'm coming off the edge, all right, my initial aiming point is the near edge of the near back as I blitz. Okay, if that flow is going away, I can slow down, learn to take a picture, because if he hands it off, do I want to go running up the field and chase the quarterback? Not necessarily. It'd be nice if I could fall back in. Okay, but if it's boot, my ass better be there. Does that make sense? Okay, but if nothing else, if flow goes away, top shoulder quarterback. If that's all you can ever learn to do, then do it. Okay, if flow comes at you, and this is where we're going to get a hell of a lot better this year. If flow comes at you, tackle the running back. Okay? If flow comes at you, I don't care if it's a 1-back, 2-back set. If flow comes at you, you go knock the hell out of that thing. Okay? And in the past, we haven't done it that way, but I've seen a lot of people do it because our head coach was always near edge of the near back. Near edge of the near back, you must stay out there, near edge of the near back. Well, here's what happened. People run power and stuff like that. You're bringing that edge blitzer and collapsing stuff in on the overload, and you just create this huge ass hole in there. Because our guys, no matter what, we're going to stay where? Near edge of the near back. And here came that fullback, and this guy was just screaming off the edge, and you get everything that you never wanted, right? Think about how you play an outside linebacker over a tight end. He's down, I'm down. Squeeze that thing down. Don't go running upfield, right? Bang! Near arm or wrong arm. But so you can squeeze that thing. Don't go running upfield. You're going to create a big hole, right? Well, that's exactly what you're doing on fire zone if you just make them stay out there all the time. Does that make sense? Okay? So if I get flow at me, you come knock the hell out of it. Okay? Those are your 2 rules. Okay, that's it. Now, you might say, but I'm going to get hit on play action. Yes and no. Okay? Your first rule tells you, look, if they show flow at you, you knock the hell out of the back. We don't care if it's play action or not. Okay? We don't care. Then what you can start to do as your kids get proficient, make sure they can do that first. Okay, because again, we're thinking more what? More run stuff. Okay, it doesn't have to be, but we're thinking more run stuff. And if that's the case, then why are we complicating the coverage anyway? You know what I mean? Okay. Then what you can get to, and these are terms that Manny Diaz uses, you can come up with your own or other things. It's something that we're going to kind of continue to work on, okay, is they will tag reel and rod. Okay, they will tag reel and rod the stuff that they do. Bless you.
Thanks.
Okay, bless you. So here's what reel means. So let's say you called the blitz, you called the coverage, and you tagged reel to it. Okay, if you're an edge blitzer, and flow is shown away. What has always been my rule? Top shoulder of the quarterback, right? If we're running reel, no matter what, your ass is coming down the line. Okay? So we can flag things down from the backside, right? And if runs at you anyway, you're going to knock the hell out of it. So you're looking to get the same thing. You're not playing boot at all. Okay? So we are saying we're going to get this on the run. So there's a lot of times you'll be watching game cuts, or you'll be watching a TV game. This happens a bunch on corner blitz, right? And you run a the guys run a corner blitz, and you see these guys screaming off the edge and going flat down the line and blowing people up. And I always think, like, God, don't they have to play the near edge to the near back, like, you know, whatever? No, they're tagging it. They're saying, I don't care what happens, your ass is going down like that, okay? So they'd run the stunt, get him to come flat, okay? Because if it's run at you, that's what you're doing anyway, right? Go tackle the back. If it's run away, we wanted you chasing him. No doubt about it. Okay, flag it down from the backside. Because what happens is you start to pressure, right? Okay, you force this guy to cut back right into your guy who's coming. If not, you can create a big gap there. So that's one way to do it, is to tag reel. If you tag rod, okay, that means you are outside no matter what. I don't care if run is at you or run is away. So let's say you're anticipating play action, right? And you're saying, well, I don't want him to chase with flow away, right? I don't want that. Why would I want him to chase, with flow at you? Why would I want him to come down and blow this up, and yet they're just going to play action anyway, okay? So you tag, let's say it was 2nd and 8, right? You had the ball on the hash, you wanted to run an overload pressure, but you want that guy teeing off on the quarterback all the way, okay? Then you just tag rod to it, okay? He runs the blitz, he doesn't care where the backs went. You're playing the quarterback on play action, okay? Near edge to the near back, no doubt about it. So if you look at this, what does this look like? It looks like a fishing rod, right? What's this? Whoop. That's the reel. Make sense? Okay, and that's where reel and rod comes in. Okay, so those are things that you can tag to the blitzes. Okay, if you don't tag anything, run at me, kill it. Okay, run away, boot. Okay, that's it. If you want to tag one of these things, then we're flat no matter what, or we're up the field no matter what. Okay. Founders of the 3-3. Okay, if we're and let me show you how we use, and I guess I can try and use your personnel as much as I can. Okay, but when we get aligned, the corners, these guys are called spurs. Okay, and they only play one side. We have our mic. These guys are called bandits. So we call it that. Okay. What do you guys call it? And I'll do the best I can to use your terms, as long as it doesn't screw me
our
up.
Spurs are Monster Vikings.
Monster Viking.
And, our strong side B is our S, and then our backside B is what we call blood. Other than that, it's
like our Viking is our best, just like our field corner of the two. It's the field
it's our
side.
field side.
So just to tell them what side to go on.
Okay.
If you say it like this, it's not going to be confusing.
Yeah, I could call left and I could call everybody left and right.
You can just
and
do it
it's all the same.
exactly
Okay.
like you guys label
Just-
it.
all
It's
right.
not going
The
to be
wide side of the field would be our Viking, and the
Okay.
short side
Yeah,
of the
so
field
it's
would be our
not.
Monster.
All right.
They're doing the same thing, just on different sides. So it's not.
When we play cover 6, okay, see, we're believers in however you rotate, you have to tag that. So let's say you have, let's say we're playing 6 spin. It kind of goes back to what Manny Diaz was saying. Let's say we're playing 6 spin, and when we do that, we know that we rotate this way, right? The free safety becomes hot 2 to the field, okay? The backside bandit becomes hot 2 into the boundary, and the Mike is the hot 3, right? That's the rotation. So you can come up with any blitzes you want. 6 spin is the rotation. So if a guy missed a meeting comes in and says, oh, I missed a meeting, right? Well, hey, it's 6 spin, no problem, okay? You're you know, hot 2 in the boundary. Okay, well, they know what 6 spin is, okay? So we're believers in that. So there's different ways we're going to rotate. We put different tags on them, okay? If we run 6, this is the first one we put in, we don't put a tag on it, okay? What does that mean? That means these 2 guys are hot 2, and he is hot 3. Okay, that's what that means. So if we're going to play any form of cover 6, our corners and free safety are the 3rd players. These guys are hot 2, he's hot 3. Okay, whip the balls on the hash and you're playing cover 6. Well, this guy's hot 2 to the field and that guy's hot 2 to the boundary, and you guys have your positions for that. Okay, you have your positions for that. So what we can do now is I'll show you what we do, but then you guys can start to build in any of the type of blitzes that you want to use. Okay, and a couple things to remember. Number one, there's only so many ways that you can do things. Okay, but I mean, you can get fairly creative too. Okay. All right. If we, and this is just our term stuff, if we don't call a front, then we're in a stat, or then we're in a base. Okay, which means our ends are basically 5 techniques, and our nose is head up. Okay, so if we don't call a front, that's how we look. Now here's the difference. For our ends, this may be a little bit different than what you guys do. If this guy is a tight end, our ends go to head up. They don't stay in a 5 technique. Okay, but that's just because how he does it. That's not necessarily to say I like it that way the best. Okay, because he can still get overtaken sometimes, and he doesn't always make it into that gap like he should. Okay, but that's how we do it. That's the only difference. But if you have him there or in a 5 technique, it doesn't make a damn bit of difference in terms of how the pressures run. Okay, all right, double blade. Okay, double blade is a run stunt, so we don't call the front. Okay, which means this is our alignment. Okay, we got 2 5 techniques in the nose guard and stack. When we run double blade, that tells us that both backers are going through the B gap. Okay, both backers are going through the B gap. We play with a stuffed nose. Okay, and both of our ends are C gap players. Okay, both of our ends are C gap players. Mike, you're hot 3. 3's a running back. Tackle them if they handle the ball. Okay, stay inside out and tackle them if they hand them the ball. Okay, nose, you're a stuff nose or a slow nose. I think PT talked about playing slow technique or stuff. Stuff means we're getting off right now into the guy, and you will basically always become a backside technique player because he will always overtake you. If you're a slow player, you're trying to read his feet, but you're going to stay in the backside gap. You're just going to get more of him. Okay, it depends on what type of players you have. Okay, if you got a guy that can do that, which we did at Poway, that's how we played it. Okay, the problem with what we've had in the past at Fallbrook is our D-line is very small. Okay, so anytime we used a slow technique, they just got whooped by everybody because now you're basically having them go man on man and they couldn't do that. Okay, that's double blade. We like double blade against run primarily. Okay, now there's going to be some blitz stuff on there that he talks about too. He teaches them in tape 3 how to blitz. It's phenomenal. Okay, it's phenomenal. So I'm blitzing his outside shoulder. Yes, and again, like anything else, when you teach your kids to blitz, you don't blitz gaps, you blitz people. Okay, you don't blitz gaps, you blitz people, because like anything else, gaps move, right? Okay, so let's say I'm the right linebacker, and I'm blitzing that outside shoulder. Okay, if that outside shoulder blocks down, you're coming right off his ass. Okay, you're coming right off his ass, no doubt about it. Okay, so if that shoulder comes down, I'm going right off his butt. Okay, I'm going right off his butt. There. Okay, now basically, and this is interesting, PT, you'll have to kind of play with this a little bit too. They face mask ear hole every blitz.
I saw that.
Okay,
I saw that.
They face mask ear hole every blitz, which means if I'm coming here hard, okay, and this guy Because again, you can't give him too many things to think about. Okay? You can't say, well, if he slides to you in his pass, then go underneath. If he goes down, come off his butt. But if it's a reach block, or, you know, I mean, you can't start getting into all that shit. Either you're going to do it or you ain't going to do it. You know what I mean? Either you're going to tell him to stay there no matter what freaking happens, okay? Or you're going to say, look, if he goes down, you got his ear hole. Come right off his butt, flat, play trap, okay? If you get his face mask at all as I'm coming, whoop, you work to the next gap inside. So here's what happens, okay? On pass protection, and here's his big thing. You're never wrong. As a play caller, when you're calling your blitzes, you're never wrong. Because either face mask or ear hole will always fix it. Okay, which makes a lot of sense to me. Okay, as a guy that's called a lot of blitzes, but it felt like I've always had to dial up the right one. Okay, that shouldn't have to happen because this guy will face mask, ear hole, everything. So what happens here is this. Okay, well, what's the beauty of it? You say, well, if they're running the ball right there, the guy's kind of leaving where he's going. Bullshit. What did we tell the mic? Shit, they gave the ball to your guy. It's just going to be a gap exchange. You never even have to teach it. I mean, you don't even have to teach it. You just go. I mean, it makes it really simple. Okay, so let's say this guy ran backside cutoff. Let's say they ran inside zone. Right? Well, what's he doing? He's coming flat. This guy just did what? Whoop! Jumped into the A gap, back said, oh shit, and that guy tackled him, and there's no one to block it. There isn't, because they're going to scoop. Right? But this guy's going to collapse back in with that linebacker. Okay? You may end up being able to pick off the center without even touching because it's close. I mean, it's just pure closed. Go tackle him. Makes a lot of sense to me. Okay? As opposed to before, Mikey had to fit off the nose. Right? Okay? He took that gap. You take this gap. It all sorts itself out. Okay? And you only had to teach him two things. You blitz. Did you get his face mask or his ear hole? That's it. Okay? So it's pretty good. All right? So that's double blade. Okay, usually a run thing, but again, if they ran slide protection and you ran blade and that guard slid to you, where are you going to go? You're going to go inside. That's it. Okay, you're just going to go inside. All right? All right, so that is double blade. The next one we install are what we call, these are our Lobo studs. Okay, Lobo. Now on this one, we have to tell them where we want you to go. Okay, do you guys use tight, open, strong, weak? How do you designate, like, tight inside, or do you? Like, let's say you wanted the pressure to the tight inside. What would you call that anything in particular?
Well, sometimes depending on the formation, we won't go with the field. We'll go with the tight end strength. Like especially there's.
So how do you call that?
Then we'll say to the strong. So if we're designating the tight end side is going to be the strong side, then we'll say strong weak.
Strong. Okay. All right.
And same thing if it doesn't matter, but we just have to pick a side.
Right. Okay. Well, let me show you. Here's how we've called things in the past. You can decide however you want to do it. Okay. Strong weak, or we've called that.
Tight and open.
Yeah, it was tight and open.
Yeah, we have open close.
Okay, so all right, so closed means tight inside, right?
Yeah.
Well, okay, all right. Yeah, maybe, and it doesn't really matter. It sounds like you guys have. I mean, it's whatever you have. Okay, so open, closed. Okay, we had field and short, right? Okay, and then we have, which is basically left and right. I mean, we would literally call it left and right. Maybe we would make it very easy for them, okay? Because if we were going to determine that was going to do. This helped us quite a bit too. So ace deuce, okay? Deuce, and that may be your strong weak. That may be what it is, okay? Deuce means we're coming from the side with more receivers, no doubt about it, okay? Or ace means we want to come from the side with less receivers. So let's say they were in this. Right? If we call deuce, we're coming from the left. We're coming from here. Okay? All right? But let's say that we called, so if we called deuce, we'd be coming from here. If we called closed, we'd be coming from here. If we called open or ace, we'd be coming from that side, which would be rare that we, against a two-back set, we'd want to do that. But let's say they're like that. Okay? Well, where do you want to come from? So against 21, you need to decide, okay? If we wanted to come from the two receiver side, whether it was here or over here, we would always call deuce, If we always wanted to blitz to the tight end side, we would always call closed. It would depend. It gave us more options, I guess, as a play caller. We don't do that now, okay, because again, it's not necessarily my system. But that gave us a lot of options to call things. Now, we did that, and then we always called the blitz. We always call the strength that way. So if we call deuce, whatever, we just call left. Fuck it, the blitz is coming from over here, you know what I mean? Or, you know, open, we would call, well, I guess that still is open, doesn't matter. But open, we would call right. I mean, our kids could be dumb and figure it out, okay? Now, if we called open, we would still call left, and they would have to know that the open side's over here. Do you guys do it that way too, or no? It's not a bad way either. I mean, I think it limits us a little bit, but
We don't normally call it with open and close.
Open.
I mean, we have quite a bit of ways we can
We
call it.
identify who's blitzing based on lightning, thunder. Ones are
So, like, because it's not, what do you call it, spur, they have their own names.
Oh, okay. So you can tag them.
So since we know the strength, we already know, we
tell
know
them.
which guy on which side is going to line up, so it's, I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And our backers are on each side are different names. So.
Right. Okay. Yeah. No. Right. So you know, I'll say it like this. It may be completely different. You may be some of it may not. But for us, what would happen is, let's say we wanted to run to the tight end side. Okay. We wanted to run Lobo again. What we said was, in cover 6, we're always going to blitz, or we're always going to blitz those 2 guys, right? And we're going to leave these 3 hot, and hot, right? Always, okay? A lot of people, when they run this pressure, they run it with those 2, okay? But what happens is we said if we did that, we would then have to come up with another coverage tag to get him to replace him. So we said, like, we don't want to do that, okay? We just want to keep it simple. So when we run Lobo, nose, go away from the stunt. Okay, if you're a 5 technique, whatever, you end up in there. Okay, nose goes away from the stunt because we're going to the tight end side. And that tells us now that this guy can come over late, but now we're hitting it like that. Okay, so we're hitting A and B. The reason it was called Lobo is because he got it from like New Mexico when he was out there watching him practice. Okay, so that was Lobo. Okay, now we can Lobo opposite, which tends to be more of a run thing. Okay, when we do that, this guy doesn't change his path. Even though we're switching those 2 guys, and he in theory is the A-gap guy, if you drew it on pressure, and he's the B-gap, see those 2 guys are replacing? Opposite. Outside guy, go first. Okay, outside guy, go first. We still run him at the outside shoulder, because against man-blocking teams, what are you anticipating? Him to do what? Block down, right? And now he's off his butt with him running around, as opposed to him running into and getting collapsed in a down block. Does that make sense? If they zone or whatever to you, well, what is he playing anyway? Face mask ear hole. Who cares? And the stunt was just run. Okay? So by running him at the outside out of the guard and he blocks down, we're going to get the perfect mesh. If they ran ISO, you say, well, there's nobody in that A gap. Well, you're wrong. That guard just put himself in that A gap. His body, my body, somebody will be in the A gap. Does that make sense? And that's something that we tell them all the time. Okay, so that's Lobo opposite. What we'll also do is we'll Lobo switch. Okay, that tends to be more of a pass thing. On switch, he's going first. Okay, so he'll go first, he'll go second. Does that make sense? And that tends to be more of a pass thing. So we can run Lobo either to the tight end side, to the open side. We can call field Lobo. Okay, we can do those things. So that's Lobo. Now,
does face mask ear hole still apply right there when switching the order like that with the 1 and 2? Does 2 still read play off face mask ear hole then?
Off the center? Yeah, because watch, he's doing it off the guard.
So that number 2.
Okay, so basically, if the guard fanned out for whatever reason, right? Well, that tells me I'm here. Does that make sense? Now, he's obviously not going to go flat down the line.
Yeah.
Okay, but he would do that. Okay, well, I'm coming in here. I'd be face masking your hole at the center. So if the center slid to me, go around. That makes sense?
Yeah.
You would never be wrong.
Yeah, yeah. Like you said, it corrects itself.
It corrects itself. You'd never be wrong. Okay? All right. Now, there may be times, like two guys in the same gas, that's not necessarily a bad thing. You know, I mean, we'll talk about that later. Okay? But that's the big thing is if you can face mask ear hole everything, things will correct itself. And so you don't have to keep worrying about dialing up the perfect blitz and things like that. Okay? All right. The next one, very basic, is double edge. All that tells us, and we're in cover 6. Okay, so we call this double edge 6, which tells you, you know, our Viking and the other monster and our middle linebacker, right, are in coverage. Okay, and now, late, our 2 outside linebackers will walk up late. Okay, and now we're into that. Okay, now typically on double edge, it's going to be an automatic rod. Does that make sense? We want you pass rush, we're teeing off. Okay, we're teeing off. We want you in rod. Okay, now, if we've got them based on personnel, and we know that they're going to be in 10 personnel, okay, we will keep you in a base front, which means we've got 2 5 techniques with a backer outside of them. Okay, the 5 techniques will go into the B gap. They'll face mask ear hold the guard. Okay, these guys will come off the edge. Okay, for us, I don't know. Do you guys always use a 5 technique even do a tight end side or not? Or have you even run? Do you even run something like that?
Yeah, we do that.
Does the guy stay as a 5 or does he move to a 6?
Like
6 to us is being head up on the tight end.
Well, sometimes we bring the strong backer up on the tight end. Depends on what he's.
I mean, yeah, we
Let's just say you want to run that blitz.
a lot of times we will be like your ends will be in a 4.
Head up. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, and then the
Okay.
backers aren't going to walk up. They'll just kind of creep up.
Yeah, late.
Late.
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
It's the
yeah.
same
We
thing.
tell proud. We don't ever want you to stand and say, hey, here I am.
Yeah, but they
Yeah.
won't even show that
Get there
much.
late. Okay. We show it. What we do is we always teach our kids indicators. Okay? And as much as we can, we want to know what the indicator is based off of who we're playing. Okay? So nobody on our defense, if they're an under center team, can leave at least until the quarterback bends the knees and puts his hand under center. So you can't go anywhere until at least that happens. Okay? And we're talking secondary rotation and stuff. I mean, yeah, we'll get in our fronts and stuff like that. Okay? But a lot of times we look at his scan. You know, is it one of those things where he always scans the same? Okay, so, you know, he goes right, middle, left, middle. Okay, now move. You know what I mean? Are they in the gun? Okay, what tells me to move? Is it his knee that comes up? Whoop. Is it his hands that clap? Whoop. Is it the center's head who's looking down, waiting for the quarterback to get inside? He pops his head up. Whoop, we're moving. I mean, that's when that guy starts blitzing and they start rotating and things like that. So as much as we can, we try and give them indicators to get them to move as late as possible. But it sounds, I mean, however you guys are doing it, I'm sure it's beautiful. So, but basically, yes, it gets back into the same thing that you're talking about. If there's a tight end side and we're concerned about that, then all we do is tag stack. Stack for, because remember, base was double 5 techniques. Stack to us means double 4 techniques. Okay, so we would make sure that we called it this way to make sure he didn't have to come from, you know, a 5 or a tight end to go too far. Okay, and then we'll still just run double edge and we'll tag rod to it. Okay, we want you guys top shoulder, we're playing the pass. All right, so that's double edge. Then what we'll do is we'll switch it. Okay, like it more against 10 personnel. Okay, not gonna be in a stack front, gonna be in a base front. Get wide enough to contain pass rush. Yes? Okay. Hide at his hip vertically for 2 to 3 steps. Then come under. And then you can face mask or hold a guard. Okay? So that's double edge switch. Okay? Double edge switch. What are we doing? We are switching the responsibility of the end and the band. Okay? Switching the responsibility. Alright? So this guy's vertical, contain pass rush, 3 steps up the field, hide at his hip, duck under, face mask gear, hold the guard. Okay? Pass stuff, right? Double edge 6. Switch. Okay? Alright. Some more run front stuff. Okay, we'll just play, and it's really just a front for us. Okay, but we'll play what's called solid 6. And solid's the front. Okay, and all that does is that places us up here. That puts them basically in stack, and that puts us head up. And we are on the line, pre-snap. Okay, these guys are responsible for the B. Those guys are responsible for the C. Okay, and then we're playing our hot stuff. Okay, we like that against option stuff. We're just basically trying to get 5 anchor points. You're basically playing a bare front without lining up with double 3 techniques, saying here, down block me. That's all you're doing. Okay, that's all you're doing. Okay, now if you wanted to do that, you can call solid pinch 6. Face mask gear, hold the guard, and you just went to bear on the snap. Okay, so we have solid 6, solid pinch 6, and again, this is run stuff. We're not going to do this stuff per se against the pass. Okay, and then of course we have good old bear 6, where that guy's in a 3 tech, and we look like that. Okay, so we do have bear. Okay, bear, inside run stuff. Yeah, it's a good man-free defense against the run if you guys do plan on playing any man-free stuff. It's you know, obviously good against zone, you know, things like that. Okay, so bear for us is a run thing. One kind of rotation thing that is kind of screwy, we will typically do it against, we like it against 2-back, and it kind of breaks our cover 6 rules. But we'll call double slice 6. That's our term, because slice would tell both safeties off the edge. Well, if that was the case, who'd have to replace them? Our 2 tackle linebackers would. Okay, so we would run like that. Okay, bring our safeties. But why is that bitching against 2-back run? Because you said this guy who is hot 2, right, but who has a tight end is going to do what? Fit the gap that tight end creates. Okay, so if that tight end blocks out, fit the gap that tight end creates. Period. Yes? Well, the backside guy is relating to number 2, right? So he makes a call of, I'm here, yes. Put him there. Put him there. Okay. Okay, that's our Mike, right? Who's he responsible for? 3. Okay, if 3 blocks, go to where he is. Period. Right? And we've talked about that before. I don't care if he's a slot. If 3 blocks, go to where he is. They're handing the ball to 2. Go tackle his ass. Right? I mean, it works out that way. It makes it easy. So it allows us a way to knock that here, come off the backside edge for boot, and to get 3 linebackers to play the run. Does that make sense? Okay, so it makes it easy. That's what we call double slice 6. Do that a lot more against 2-back stuff. Okay, but when they start detaching receivers, you know, as the number 2, there's no real reason to do it. Why not just bring one of those linebackers? You know, because if not, he would blitz. He'd still have to drop out to cover, and it just is a waste of time. Okay, so that's double slice 6. All right. Then we get into what we call 6 spin. Okay, 6 spin. 6 spin is a field defense. So we won't call, well, okay, doesn't have to be. But usually it's a field defense, which means balls on a hash or close to a hash, we're spinning. Okay, we're spinning. All right, when we do that, it always works this way. The field's here. So again, when we create blitzes, we always package them. All right, is this a 6? Is it a 6 spin? What is it? Okay? If it breaks one of our rules that we have for coverage, we probably won't do it. You know what I mean? Let's figure out a way to get that done within what we do. Okay? So, the field side safety for us will blitz. Okay? The field side linebacker for us will blitz. So those two guys will blitz. Okay? Bless you.
Yeah.
Okay? So how do we replace that? Our free safety drops down, it's hot 2 to the field. Okay? Our short spur or boundary side spur rolls back in place the 3rd. Our mic is still hot 3. Okay, and now our short backer, or whatever you guys call that guy into the boundary. Okay, your monster is hot 2 into the boundary. Okay, so that's the rotation. Okay, and we can design it however we want, and I'll show you those pressures here in a minute. Okay, but that's the rotation. So when they know, hey, we're playing 6 spin, all right, okay, field, well, it's even easier for you guys. Okay, monster, I'm hot 2 into the boundary. Okay, and 6 spin, right? Mike's always hot 3. Your field safety is your Viking, right? Viking, I'm in the pressure, okay? Field, other linebacker, I'm in the pressure, okay? So it becomes easy for him. Okay, corner 3rd, corner 3rd. Okay, so there's your 3 under 3 deep rotation, all right? Now let's get into the pressures. And again, it doesn't have to be just field. I'll show you ways to, it doesn't need to be. But that's where we start. Okay, that's where we start. All right, so we start. First one is what we call these. These are the names of our pressures. Stack storm 6 spin. Okay, stack storm 6 spin. And all that is. So let's say it's a left call. The field's going to be over here the entire time. Okay, so it's left. Well, you know we were in stack. Okay, like this. Okay. We have that extra linebacker. What we do is we bring him up to the line right now. It makes it look like a 4-man front, okay? Even though it's an odd look, because we play what's called thunder, which looks just like that too, okay? Where it's just a 4-man pressure, okay? But now we're playing storm, okay? Which means we are going to add him into the blitz, okay? He is going to face mask, ear hold the guard. He is going to face mask, ear hold the tackle. Okay, and our nose and our end are looping away. Okay, good against the run. Okay, also good against slide protection. Okay, because you're never wrong. Right? If that tackle, you're that linebacker, right? And you're coming right at me on the snap. If that tackle slides to you, where are you going? Going inside, because that's face mask. You got face mask, you go inside, right? So you come inside, perhaps you have, perhaps he carries him, perhaps he doesn't, okay, whatever, and we got one off the edge. Well, what if this tackle on the snap slides down? What'd you get? Ear hole, where are you coming? Right off his butt, you got 2-on-1 on the back, okay, and that's just how it's created. Okay, you've got 2-on-1 on the back. So we like it for those purposes, we like it for run purposes. I mean, we're just clogging that stuff up in there, okay? If they have a tight end, you start initially head up on the tight end, and then you run the stunt. Make sense? Okay, if they have a tight end, you start head up on the tight end. Okay, we already know the rotation and who has to get where, right? So if it's 2x2, chances are it wouldn't be, but if it was, okay, excuse me. All right. For us, we always talk about a numbering system. We actually put in man coverage first, okay? And the reason that we do that is because it teaches our DBs how to line up on people. Corners, always line up on number 1. Who are your outside guys again? Viking and Monster, line up on number 2. That's it. Free safety, line up on number 3. That's where it starts, because man coverage, we ran 0 coverage. That's who you'd be covering, okay? That's it. Okay, and then what happens, so let's say it's 2x2. It's the same thing in fire zone. Who do I line up on? Number 2. Okay, but I know that what? It's 6 spin. So I've got to go from number 2 to there when the ball snaps. Okay, how do you do that? If you're ever spinning from the boundary, okay, here's your rules. As you're starting to spin, your aiming point is the middle of field. You just cross over and run. If that quarterback drops and sets to the field keep running. Just run, okay, for depth. As you're running, if he ever comes back, just center field turn. That's it. He'll never go back there again, okay? That's your first rule. Your second rule, if that quarterback ever shows run on play action or drops and sets into the boundary, wherever you are, as soon as that happens, stick your foot in the ground and go straight back. Why? If it's a run, we want you to be able to banana. Does that make sense? If he's throwing into the boundary, I don't want you running your ass over here either. Okay? Alright, so that's why we do it that way. Okay, so that's how we teach the backside guy. Free safety, who do you always line up on? Number 3. Well, there's 3, but guess what? 6 spin. So I'm dropping down, but I'm hot 2 to the field. Okay? If that guy blocks out, where's the gap that's created? Right there. Okay, that's it. Because what did we tell you? If your number 2 is a tight end, you play a run first. Period. Okay, once you recognize pass, sure, you can buzz out, whatever. It's not very far to go. Okay, it's very easy. Okay, so that is storm. Okay, then what we can do from there is we can storm switch. Again, a lot of our switches are pass stunts. Okay, so then we can storm switch. What are we doing on storm switch? We are switching, so let me, for chuckles, line up like this. We don't start replacing guys, saying, okay, I'm lined up on number 2, but right? But there's a guy in my way on the, fuck it, we don't care. We're giving you an indicator, man. Quarterback, you know, goes under center. Now I know I can start to move. Perhaps he looks away. Maybe I start running down the line. I mean, you'll make it. Okay, you'll make it. All right. Free safety, who do I always align on? 3. Spur, who do I always align on? 2. So we look like that. Right? We look like that. Well, what's he going to do? He's going to come down the line? Well, he normally would have gone like this. Excuse me. Let me give you a switch. Let me give you a switch. Switch. Up. Face mask ear hole. 1, 2, 3. Under. So we're switching those 2. Okay? It tends to be a pass stunt. Yes? Okay? You're a B-gap defender on run, but that's where I got to be. Face mask ear hole. And so it's the same stunt. You're just switching those 2. Okay? Well, free safety. I line over number 3, but I am hot 2 to the field. Okay? So we drop down this way. Spur. Why didn't I spin from over here? Because 2's in the backfield. Shit, you're damn near there. Right? Very easy. You don't have very far to go. Okay? Mike, who am I responsible for? Number 3. Okay? If they run the ball, run to where he is. Okay? That's it. They run the ball, run to where he is. Okay? Who am I responsible for? Number 2. Okay? I know where my drop is into the boundaries, 2 yards outside the hash. If they hand this guy the ball, what are you going to do? You're going to go tackle him. That's it. Okay? That's it. All right? So that is stack storm switch 6 spin. Okay? Now, well, let me get to that in a minute. All right, even smoke. Again, we're staying with field pressures. Okay, even for us is a 4-man front. The field is left. For us on even, we play with double 2 techniques. Okay, I don't know, you guys may shade them, whatever. Okay, we play with double 2 techniques. Okay, field linebacker. You know we're doing that. Rotation is the same, so I'm going to stop drawing the damn coverage because it's all the same. Okay? Field linebacker, I'm there. I will show you how it's a little bit different here. Okay? But field linebacker, I'm going. Okay? I'm going. On smoke, here's what we tell them. Okay? We want the end to face mask ear hold the guard. Okay? He's going to face mask ear hold the guard. The nose is going to face mask ear hold the center. Okay? If you drew it up, in theory, those 2 would be taken away based on what happens, okay? But that's how it works out. We tell that blitzing linebacker, we want your heels in the B gap, 4 yards deep. Heels in the B gap, 4 yards deep by the time the ball snaps, okay? And just run straight. Okay, just run straight and hug that thing tight. Okay, now, if you wanted him to face mask ear hole anybody, it would be the tackle. Okay, that's who it would be. It would be the tackle. If you want to keep it even simpler than that, just tell him to hug that thing tight because it could be a back from the inside coming to pick him up. We like him to spill everything. Okay, even from there. So we don't give him a face mask ear hole rule on that one. We just send him. But if you want to give him one, you give it to him. Okay, you give it to him. Now, this end has to do what's called run through the mud. But he's going to face mask ear hole that tackle, yes? So if that, but he's the contain now, isn't he? All right, that's your fifth guy in the pressure. So here comes Coach, right? Coach is that end that's got to run through the mud. We call him a run through. We call him the cop. Contain on pass. You're the cop. Contain on pass. So when that ball snaps, if I kick out to pick up the bandit, what are you seeing? My ear hole. Okay, so you're going to climb my ass out to cop. Okay, you're going to run through the mud. You're going to climb my ass. Okay, but on the snap, if I do this, where are you going? You're going around. Contain on pass. Okay, that's it. All right, contain on pass. This guy's responsible for hot tune to the boundary. Yes, hot tune to the boundary. All right, now, let's say they were in trips. And we know that right now he's going to drop on the snap. Okay, you know that, yes? He's got pitch on option if they option to the boundary and you overload. I mean, that's one of those things that you're limiting yourself a little bit. Okay, but let's say that I start to drop. There goes number 2 on the handoff. What are you going to do? You're going to go tackle him from the outside in. Bless you. I don't care if it's a dive inside. I don't care what it is. Okay, part of the problems that we've had in the past is we haven't taught it that way, and we always felt susceptible in there, and we shouldn't be. We're wasting people out here where the ball isn't going. Does that make sense? Okay, because if he climbs, doesn't that guy end up on contain anyway? He does. Okay, so he'll always turn the ball back in. Okay, he'll turn the ball back in. All right, so we know that we're bringing the safety here, free safety down. Mike's playing over number 3. Okay, now, depending on how creative you want to get, okay, you can 6 spin in the middle of the field. You absolutely can. Okay, and I totally encourage you to do it, because why limit yourself to overload pressures only from the hash? Okay, but there's a couple of things that you have to think about. I'm not done showing you the pressures, but there are a couple of things that you want to think about. Let's say the ball's in the middle of the field, and they're in 21 personnel. Okay, and they're in 21 personnel, right? The easiest thing to do from the middle of the field on 6 spin is to be in a stack front. Run stack storm. Okay, that's the easiest way to start. Okay, and so let's say you wanted to call it tight. Stack storm, 6 spin. Okay, you're just like, shit, man, they're too bad. We want to overload the pressure into the tight end. I don't care if we're on the hash or not. I don't want to run Lobo. I want to run the damn storm stunt, right? So we're in stack. You know we're going to walk down like this. Face mask ear hole, face mask ear hole. Okay, so we look like that. Why do we want to do that? Because we have a backer off the line right now as an I'm here guy. So now we have an overload pressure with a 2 linebacker system. Does that make sense? Okay. Free safety can drop down. That spur rolls out. Okay. That's why we would do it that way. All right. Okay. So the first way to do it is to be in stack. Now, let's say you didn't want to run storm. You wanted to run smoke, but shit, we only run it out of even. You ain't just got to run it out of even. Okay? Why do that? Okay? Run stack smoke. And aren't you in the same damn thing? You are. Just do it like that. Okay? And it doesn't have to be 2 back. It can be a 1 back set. Whatever. You want to hit the tight end side, right? Let's say it's a 1 back set. Even better. Why is it better to be in stack? Because this guy's already off the ball to cover him. Does that make sense? Okay. Here's the issue you run into if you don't do that. Okay. So I mean, you can run the same stunt. You can run storm and smoke out of stack. You don't just have to be in even to run smoke. That's just what we do it out of. And it's a nice compliment. Let's say you want to play some 4-down stuff this week, right? How nice that we can run, you know, even cover 3, but then we can also run even smoke, you know, 3 under 3 deep to make it look the same. Okay. Here's where you start to limit yourself. Is when you're in the middle of the field. Not necessarily limit, but you make it more difficult. Let's say you're playing against 11 personnel and you want to run even smoke. Can you? Absolutely you can. We want to run it from this side. Okay, that's what it looked like, yes? Okay, he copped out, yes? Okay, well, he's spinning back. He's playing thirds. Free safety, spinning down, all that good stuff. Your issue becomes, what are you doing over here? That becomes the issue, okay? Well, all right, are we going to remove our bandit and not have anybody on the end of the line because the ball's in the middle of the field? You could do that, okay? Can we remove him and leave the mic over 3? That's one option, but that's also why don't just get and stack where that guy's already off the ball, okay? Or if you want to get more complicated in life later on, this mic bumps out, okay? And he makes a call of, you know, hole or sink or whatever you want him to do. And that tells this guy, look, on the snap, who are you responsible for? You are now playing hot 3. You're just switching the 2 responsibilities. But again, it's very easy to teach guys that. I mean, it's very simple. Why? Because it's pure spot drop. Okay? So on the snap, what am I doing? I'm working to get over the top of him. If they run this way, go get him. He's your guy. If it's a pass, get in the middle field. So you can do it that way too and have him play 2. You could still play a 4-man front and overload the pressure into a tight end side if you wanted to and not have to get real worried about it. You know what I mean? But that's your adjustment. That's how you do it. Okay? That's how you do it. In the boundary, it's not as big of a deal. I mean, you could walk walk that lineman off, that linebacker, and it wouldn't be such a big deal because it's not very far to go. So you just need to decide, is this purely a field pressure out of a 4-man front? Will we play it in the middle? But we're just teaching that one rule, okay, that sink rule and stuff like that, or that hole rule, whatever you want to call it, like that. So that's something to think about, okay, of being able to overload pressure from the middle of the field. All right, the final one that we will run, oh, excuse me, let me give you smoke switch. Smoke switch, good stuff. Okay, on smoke switch, well, what did we say that we always do? We switch the end man on the line. Whoever the end man on the line is part of the switch stunt. Okay, so I'm up the field. I'm under late, yes? The nose, face mask, ear hole, him. The difference, linebacker. You're switching from the B gap to the A gap, okay? So now your wrap is coming in there, okay? That's it. Besides that, everything else is the same. Okay, so it looks like that. That would be smoke switch, okay? That would be smoke switch. All right? And again, the nice thing is you guys will have this on tape, so you guys can, copy stuff down then, look at things that you want in terms of pressures and stuff. The other one we run is snake. We don't switch this one. How you doing over there, PT?
Good.
The other one we run is snake. We run this out of what we call tiger. Tiger to us means this. Again, that's the field. Tiger to us means we reduced to that side. So we actually look like that. I don't know if you guys play a front that looks like that, but we've got a 3 technique to the field. That linebacker comes down. If there's a tight end, he's head up. If there's not, he's a 5 technique. Okay, but we're backed up again. So we look like that. So that's a good thing to be able to do. So hell, I guess in theory, if you were playing, well, I'm not even gonna get into it. Okay, so this is snake. On snake, that 3 technique end, take a 45-degree downhill step to the inside eye of the tackle and go vertical on him. Okay, go vertical. Face mask, ear hole it. Okay, I am coming underneath this guy. Okay, into the A gap, but you can face mask, ear hole the guard. Chances are that guard's going to do what? Chase the tackle. Okay, so where you normally end up is in there. Okay, good against the pass. Okay, good against the pass, especially to a man side. You know what's great against is like when your teams run midline and shit, but they just kind of spring it on you every now and then. Like they don't run a lot of it, but a little bit. You can kind of you can just knock the hell out of, you know, somebody. And I'm not saying a true option team. We don't stun a lot against true option teams, but if we're playing a team that, you know, kind of likes to run the ball right up the gut, this is a good way to kind of handle that sometimes when the ball's on a hash. Okay, so that's what we call snake. That's tiger, field tiger, snake, 6-spin. Okay, that's snake 6-spin. Okay, so those are the 6-spin pressures we want that we run. Again, there's a lot of them out there, so you can, you know, go figure out, okay, does this fit into our 6-spin stuff or not? Okay, almost done with this. Then we'll look at some tape. Then we'll talk some 400 2 deep. That 400 2 deep is simple. That'll go real fast. Okay, it really is. It's really easy.